You're listening to Tassie Encounters Moments on Faith FM, and we're coming to you from Tasmania, right across Australia. Each weekday on Tassie Encounters, you can hear what the Bible says about past, current and future events. You can learn how to study the Bible more effectively. You can get to know who God is, why we're here and where we're going. And you can experience personal encounters with Jesus. I'm your host, Jason Cook, and today we have David Leo joining us. Welcome, David.
It's good to be here. It's been a while.
It has been a while. You've got your mic sort of positioned in a bit of a strange angle there,
I'm
David.
talking to the wall.
I'm going to let you pull it over and turn it around so that you can actually talk into it properly. So, So, David, it's been a little while. Last year, I think, was the last time we did a program together.
It's been that long, yes. I miss being on the radio. It's been busy, been crazy.
Yeah, you've had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Been here, there and everywhere.
That's right.
Lots of camps with young people.
Yes. It's
a few events, should I say, yeah.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but I think I know what I'm doing now, Jason.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's only taken 4 years.
It seems like you're actually enjoying it as well.
I am.
That's
absolutely.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, this week, David, we're looking at the world around us, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
A bit of anxiety with the price of fuel.
That's right.
Things going on in the Middle East. Not sure where things are going, particularly for Australia here. We seem to have a shortage on fuel.
That's right. Yep. And even us in Tasmania are feeling the pinch, aren't we? Mm. It's happening. It's happening all over. And it's a, I dare say this is a fruit of something that's happened in the last, we can see the US and the world around have been building their artillery for quite a number of years as if they're preparing for something. Mm. And I think we're finally starting to see how it affects us. This is taking me back to the days of high school when we had to read a book called The Great Depression and how that affected, how New Zealand was affected by the war. And then I remember the stories of people in nursing homes that told me things I had to do if there was a war to happen and they were kids. One story that still impresses me is a gentleman said he was about 10 years old at the time in England, and as soon as the planes came overhead, he had to bike home as fast as he could because that was the instructions that they were given. Should any planes or anything like that happen, then you need to get home as soon as possible. He just finished buying milk from the shop, and he had to get home as soon as possible. And they did everything they were instructed to do, get under the table and all that. And no bombs were found that day. But it brings me to our thinking. Like you've just said it. I don't know about you. Have you got any emails from the government or from your local council or anything of what needs to be done should the fuel prices go up and there should be food prices go up? And I
personally haven't seen anything, but I have been hearing lots of rumours, I guess, as to what might happen in the coming weeks and months if the fuel shortage is still persist.
That's right. Yeah. And Jason, it's you're not alone on that. I haven't received anything either. I don't think any homes have got anything as yet. But I tell you what, when I was a little kid in New Zealand, I still remember in the yellow books. Remember the
yellow pages?
Yellow pages. Sorry, the yellow pages. Right in the front, it had things to do in an emergency. To have a radio, to have a supply of food, and we always had to have something ready. And I used to ask Mum and Dad, "Do we have these things?" And I was just like, "No." But I used to read why we needed those things, and it's I suppose this is the thing that people hang out for. I think right now people are looking to the government. How are you going to help me? And this morning, we're not talking about that.
No.
We haven't got an instruction manual what to do. I don't have any qualms about anyone taking any safety measures. Should you have a week's supply of food and get a radio and whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. But what we want to talk about this morning is, for the week, we specifically want to talk about how, what's this peace that Jesus talks about in the Bible, and what is it we do to attain that? Because that's a different type of peace than the peace that you're looking for to get instructions or help or aid from government, whether it's the federal government or whether it's your local government. We're not discussing that. We're talking about what the Bible says in these particular times.
Absolutely. And We're going to dig a little bit into a passage that where Jesus talks about these future times.
Yeah.
And in a way, there is quite a bit of anxiety. I was speaking to somebody yesterday and they were concerned and asking me, what do you do in these circumstances? And I said, well, I tend not to worry about them. I take a very casual attitude. But remember COVID, the panic about toilet paper?
I haven't forgotten.
The panics of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Why were people so anxious about making sure they had toilet paper in that, time of lockdowns and whatever? I
think it's a good thing you've brought it up, because I think that's probably the most recent reference that we can give to how our minds work when we're in panic mode. When we've lost control and we think, and the thing is here, once we read the Bible and things like that, you're going to realize that as a Christian that believes in Jesus Christ and the things that he says, we have known from the start that peace in this world is an illusion. It's something to be grateful for.
Yes.
That we even have peace. I'm not sure if it was you that I was talking to recently, but it might have been my kids. But I'm actually grateful every time we have running water. When I turn the tap on and I can drink from the cup, or I can have a shower or whatever, I'm like, man, not everyone gets this privilege.
No.
This is
and we in Australia and in the West in general have lived, for 80 years in relative peace.
Yeah.
Relative peace. And we just don't appreciate, I think we take that for granted.
Absolutely. And we need to be grateful for the infrastructure and everyone that's put the effort, the fact that we can have that. But the moment it's taken away, like everyone else, I just filled up my diesel tank yesterday and it hurt, so I understand how everyone else is feeling when they're filling it up and go, oh man, this is hitting me in the pocket. But imagine if we had paid $5 a litre for the last 20 years, we'd be saying, oh man, it's so good that it's $3 a litre. It's all this perspective, right? So let's have a read of Matthew 24. And for anyone that hasn't studied the Bible before, Matthew 24 is an amazing, amazing chapter where the disciples are feeling anxious. Jesus just made a reference to the most important building that's meant to be the centerpiece of everybody's existence. And he said, this place is going to be destroyed. And their question to Jesus was, well, how do we know when it happens?
And I think to them, if the temple was to be destroyed, they were sort of thinking that would be the end,
the end of the Jews, end of the Jerusalem.
Or end of the world.
That's
almost.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they did ask two questions.
Yeah.
When is this going to happen and what are the signs of the end?
Actually, I'll go even further. It's the end of the universe, because that's God's dwelling. Yeah, that's God's dwelling place.
So for them, there was a very much a focus on, if this building is going to be destroyed, then it's all over.
It's all over. Yeah.
So where do you want to read?
Matthew 24. I want to go target. There's only one thing that's mentioned here, but he talks about false Christ and false teachings and all this type of stuff. But if we can go straight to the rumors of wars, which is found in
verse 5.
Verse 5, please, if you could read that.
It says in verse 5, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. In verse 6, and you'll hear of wars and rumours of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet.
Yeah, so this surrounded by other things around it, we're looking specifically at that because right now we are aware that there's a war happening. It's been going on for
several now, isn't it?
It's several, yeah. But it's if you followed the news for the last couple of years, there's been Russia and Ukraine and the surrounding European countries. They've been at it for a while. There's been cyber wars going on. There's been the cutting of the fiber optics that the EU can't figure out they're blaming Russia, but they still haven't found who's responsible for cutting the fiber optic cables. But it's been going on for a while, but now we're seeing it all kind of accumulate, and it's come to a combination of, there's only one man that is crazy or bold, whatever way you want to put it, enough to make that move, and that's Donald Trump, and he's made the move. And now the choke point, or the bottleneck. We're all feeling it now, right? We see it in the fuel, the food prices, and whatnot. So it's right on our doorstep, but it's not the same as it was. I remember watching the Iraq War on the news, and you can see soldiers on the ground, but this is a totally different. It's all ships and planes, and we just watch from the sides. But the question I'll ask you is, where does your confidence come from when the news is pumping this? There's got to be somewhere else that you're looking to keep your mind sane for the sake of not only yourself, but for your family as well. And, what's interesting in Matthew 24 is Jesus isn't asking us to study carefully what's going on in the rumors. Don't figure out whether they're true rumors or not to find out the nuts and bolts. He's saying, don't be troubled. How do you do that, Jason? So we're going to talk about that. Do not be troubled, he says.
I'm just trying to find the verse. It might even be from a different chapter, is it?
What's that?
Oh, it says, do not be alarmed.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Yeah, but he says, do not be troubled. Yeah. And so we're going to talk more about that and extrapolate what did Jesus mean by do not be troubled.
Cool. We've got about another minute before we need to finish up. Is there any other points you want to bring out today before we do our book offer?
Yes. It's always tempting to look at all the details. It's always tempting to be that guy that's got all the information. But when we're going through issues when we're going through times like this, and I'm not just a husband and a father. One of the greatest advice that I ever got from a gentleman who's much older than me. He said, David, leadership. This is my internship years. He said, leadership is about 30% knowing what you're doing and 70% confidence, right? So to my family and to my community, and now when I'm leading my youth and leading my group, when I don't know what's going on, man, 70% of it's just confidence, so I'm making them see my face. I'm not panicking. I'm not freaked out. So you don't need to either, and then 30% is trying to figure out how we're going to get through the situation. And Jesus is saying, hey, be that light. Be that confidence, and the only place you can find that confidence is in Jesus Christ and His promises. And we'll talk about what that looks like.
Awesome. Well, we've got our book offer coming up, so stay tuned for that.
This program is made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.
Our book offer this week is titled Finding Peace Amidst the Storm. This is by Robbie Bergen, and I guess it's connected to his series, A Faith Experiment. Life's storms are unavoidable, but peace in the midst of them is possible. In this book, in Finding Peace Amidst the Storm, Robbie shares his personal journey and explores biblical principles for overcoming stress, anxiety, and fear. And through practical insights, powerful stories, and step-by-step faith experiments, this book guides you to discover the peace that God promises, a peace that surpasses all understanding. Test God's promises for yourself and learn how to experience lasting peace even when life feels out of control. That's our book offer for today. So do text us in, TEM63 to 0488 880 891. That's TEM63. Text it into 0488 880 891. We're going to go out with this song today. It's called Be All Right by Evan Kraft, Danny Goki, and Redimi.
There's a name that can silence every fear. There's a love that embraces the heartache, the pain, and the tears. Through my faith and my doubting, I know one thing for sure. His word is unfailing, His promise secure. Todo va a estar bien, everything will be alright. Whole world's in His hands, your whole world's in His hands. In the darkness and the trials, He's faithful and He is true. The whole world's in His hands, y todo va a estar bien. Oh, 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 everything will be alright. Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah. Father, you say everything's gonna be alright.
but my circumstances say I won't last through the night. I need your word to hold me now, need you to pull me through. I need a miracle, a breakthrough, I need you. They say you hold the whole universe in your hand, but my world's falling apart like it is made of sand. Am I small enough to slip through the cracks? Can you take my broken pieces and put them back? Give me faith to believe you are on my side. Open my eyes to see you working in my life. Let the past remind me you never fail, and tell my soul it is well. Oh. Y todo va a estar bien. Everything will be alright. The whole world's in his hands. Your whole world's in his hands. In the darkness, in the trials, he's faithful and he's true. Your whole world's in his hands. Y todo va a estar bien. Everything, oh, oh, everything will be alright. Oh, 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 yeah. Todo va a estar bien. Oh, 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 still I know everything will be alright. Oh, 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 yeah.
Padre, te confieso a corazón abierto que todo es muy incierto en este desierto. Mi vulnerabilidad está al descubierto. Siento que mi barca está muy lejos de su puerto. ¿Por qué será que ya no sale el sol en mis días? ¿Por qué mis noches son tan frías? ¿Por qué será que siento que me falta algo? ¿Por qué este camino gris se siente tan largo? Sé que estás sobrando aunque no te sienta. Sé que estás sobrando aunque no te vea. Sé que voy a salir de esta odisea. Sé que voy a ganar esta pelea. Sé que va a cesar esta marea temporaria, que en ti yo viviré una vida extraordinaria. Y aunque no pueda entender, me consuela saber que
todo, yo sé que todo va a estar bien. Todo va a estar bien. Everything will be alright. The whole world's in his hands. Your whole world's in his hands. In the darkness, in the trials, he's faithful and he's true. Your whole world's in his hands. Y todo va a estar bien. Oh, oh, oh. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Oh, yeah, yeah. Todo va a estar bien. Todo va a estar bien. Oh, oh. Everything will be alright. Oh, oh. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. Todo el mundo en su mano está. Todo el mundo en su mano está. Todo el mundo en su mano está.
This program has been made possible by the support of Adventist World Radio.